Hi art friends! Today we're going to be creating our Mary Blair inspired castles. To start this project, you're going to need a piece of paper and something to draw with. I'm going to be using a black crayon, but if you would prefer to start with pencil so that you can erase any mistakes, you are welcome to. I'm going to start by filling my page with lots of large rectangles. Remember that Video Miss Snyder is sped up a little bit, so if at any point you need me to slow down, just hit pause. After I have all of my large rectangles down, I'm going to start adding a variety of other shapes, both on top of and breaking up the middle of my rectangles and squares. Inside of this square, I'm going to draw a heart. I'm going to practice with my finger first. I'm going to draw 2 bumps on top, ba-bump, ba-bump, and then a V shape on the bottom. I'm going to practice with my finger a few times before I actually draw it. That way I can make sure I feel confident before I draw. Now that I have a large variety of shapes in my castle, I'm going to start adding patterns inside of some of the shapes. Remember that a pattern is a color, a line, or a shape that repeats over and over again. So try to use a variety of patterns to fill in your castle. Remember, your castle does not have to look exactly like mine. You can make your own choices as an artist to come up with something maybe even better. Now that my castle is full of pattern, what I'm going to do next is I am going to paint the rest of my image. If you don't have paint at home, that's okay. You can use any other art making material to finish off your castle. You could use markers, crayons, colored pencils, whatever you have around the house. If you don't have watercolor paint, but you do have access to a paintbrush, I'm going to show you a really neat trick that you can use to create your own watercolor paint using a paintbrush, some water, some aluminum foil, and some washable markers. You're going to take your marker and color just a small spot on top of the aluminum foil. Once you have that spot of marker colored in, you're going to take your paintbrush with water on it and dip your paintbrush into the marker area. What it's going to do is it's going to take color from the marker and lift it up and create sort of a watercolor paint out of it that you can just paint like we're used to using on your paper. Just like with our normal watercolor paints, you can use this method to mix colors to create new colors that you might not even have markers of. You also are going to notice that because I used crayon to create all of our patterns, you're going to get the same effect that we've played with a lot in our classroom, where we're getting something called a wax resist, where the wax of the crayon is actually pushing off that watercolor paint that we've created and allowing the crayon to shine through the color that we've made with the paint. That wax resist also helps a little bit with our colors staying within each of our shapes, because the black crayon that I used to create my shapes is helping to block a little bit of that color from transferring from shape to shape.